So I started my career in Oxfordshire, and I'm thrilled to be having an association with the Oxford School of Thought. I'm now also one of those rather outmoded beings. I'm a teaching head, and I'm also CEO of Values-Based Education, which is a movement that promotes values-based learning across schools, both in this country and across the world. So this gives me a particular perspective on the effects of both implementing and using national policies. The Oxford Dictionary defines education as an enlightening experience. So by that, we're saying something that makes us more fully human. Yet so frequently, it's reduced to a squabble and a resulting scramble to please that two-headed monster, which is standards and Ofsted together. My concern is that in the sincere quest to improve schools, that we've defaulted to a delivery mode. And this is ensuring that schools are becoming relentlessly run on tram lines. And this, in turn, is creating a conformity which is killing the spirit of learning. The feeling to constantly make things better, do it more, do it better, means that teachers and schools are finding there's no space to breathe, no space to look up, no time to consider more deeply the things that need our deep consideration. So it can feel like we're being slowly crushed by a heavy lid, or becoming like frenzied hamsters running on a wheel. You can choose your analogy. The point is that this is deadening learning, and certainly has the great potential to do so. Teachers who feel crushed become de-skilled. And when they feel de-skilled, they cannot enlighten learners. So we're creating, by default, precisely the opposite of what we set out to do. We're so busy chasing improvement that we're missing the whole point of education. So teacher agency is that vital force. It's about having a voice, feeling central to and essential to the teaching and learning process. So if we're defining a new policy for education, we need to ensure there's a shift in focus. We need to make much better use of teachers' humanness, their humanity, their talents and skills. My proposition is that education should be deeply rooted in deeply considered ethical, values-based principles. I think that we need to start by thinking, what kind of people do we want to grow? What are the predominant values that we want our children to be guided by and indeed to use? What kind of world do we want to build? And this is the fundamental bedrock that should be underpinning all our work. So teaching and learning should stem from this source so that teachers can make better use of a sense of purpose and bring to bear the essential humanness that is the relationship between good quality teaching and effective learning. Now, I'm sure many of us can bring to mind a teacher who was pivotal to us. And most teachers, in my experience, say that they come into the profession to make a difference to children. And teaching and learning resides in this relationship and engenders mutual discovery. And this link between personal connection and effective learning is well established. And its vital component, that spark, is created in that interaction between pupil and teacher. But that spark is also elusive and it's delicate and it requires particular conditions to thrive in and to flourish. When it does flourish, teachers and pupils can both feel a sense of purpose and well-being and meaning. And this leads to success. But for it to happen, teachers and pupils both need to be in a positive climate, one that is motivating, psychologically safe, and induces some sense of interconnectedness, that sense of feeling you're in the right place. And this means we've got to make space for being curious. We've got to allow the spirit of the teacher and the child to come into play. And this contagious vitality should be at the heart of learning. I would like to propose that as part of our teaching and learning offer to teachers and to their learners, that we build in an opportunity for secondment for every single teacher in the country to take part in some action-based research. This is very necessary so that teachers feel alive to the complexity that is learning, the inquiry that is essential to understanding continuous provision of good learning, and so that we create engaged teachers. When we do that, we've got engaged learners. Yes, leaders need to strike that balance between creating a consistency of approach, having timely and effective procedures and practices. Yes, they have to be able to hold staff to account, but in a climate of trusting relationships where staff can come to work knowing that they can bring to bear their creative flair and their enthusiasm, we'll reap the benefits in our children. So in creating a new path for education, we can choose to develop and strengthen what's possible. And I'm arguing today that we should look outwards and upwards and deeply consider what is possible. We can choose to ignore it, but I think it will be at our peril, because this is about honouring our children. It's about dignifying our profession, and it's about making a better world. Thank you.